Welcome back to the Snakes here on OOTP 23, where we stand right now as we are towards the end of June here. Done a little bit of simming here post draft. As you can see, I don't know if I can find him in here, but Edmundo Sosa has been claimed. Remember, we waived and DFA'd him to bring Jordan Lawler up from AAA, and Sosa was indeed claimed by the Mets. He's barely played for them too, and he's been even worse for them than he was for us. Also, the top 100 prospects list has been published. As you can see, the Chicago teams are just totally dominating the top of the list here. Now, if we take a look at the top batters, we have Tamar Johnson and Jordan Lawler, who, if we take a look at him, up in the big leagues right now, obviously not the hottest start here in the major leagues, but Corbin Carroll also started slow in the major leagues, and also it's only 70 plate appearances, so not really too much to judge there on Lawler. While if we take a look at Tamar Johnson, he is in high A right now, hitting about league average, well, exactly league average, essentially. And he is fine with his role on team. He's just pissed with losing because if we take a look here, our A ball teams are not doing so hot. You know, it's not like our double A team's doing so great either, but it's, a little bit more respectable than what our A ball teams are doing, which is just some really, really bad baseball. And Tamar, since he is, he has gotten a decent amount of ABs here in high A, I might think about calling him up to the Texas League here. We take a look, still probably a little bit below average for the Texas League. I mean, even for the Northwest League, let's take a look. I mean, yeah, he's pretty good for the Northwest League, but if we take a look at the Texas League, yeah, a little bit below average. He's going to avoid Ks, a little bit below average contact, not really much else, but, and he just turned 20 years old, so do we really want to call him up to Double A right now? Maybe a little later on in the season. I'm not sure about right now, though. I will be going through basically the entire minor league system once we get to like the All-Star break and combing through who gets called up and gets sent down. Well, we actually have two guys here for the pitchers now. Not only do we have Blake Walston, who we are aware of up in the big leagues now. He's pitched 13 innings, and he's actually been very good in those 13 innings out of the bullpen for us. So very good to see there for Blake Walston, number 66th pitcher in baseball prospects. And then we have Michael Ferre, who's the number 87 guy in high A right now. He was a pitcher we took out of high school. I took him because my scout liked him quite a bit in the 7th round, even though he has the high greed, the low leader, low intelligence. He does have high work ethic, though, and teammates don't really like him too much. And he's also extreme fly ball. So not really usually my type of pitcher, but my scout liked him enough. And even though he's been really bad in our minor league system, in every level he's pitched at, for whatever reason, he's made the jump into the top 100 pitchers. So not really sure what that's about. He is pissed for his role on team, so maybe he expects to be in Double A by now, but I mean, why should I put him in Double A? I mean, I guess he is a little bit better in Double A, but it's not like he's much better. His movement's still garbage. His stuff's still below average. It's not like he's any better there. Well, in the Northwest League, he's, pretty average there. So, I mean, I don't know why he would think he would be in Double A right now. He's only 20 years old, but still in the top 100 pitchers. Alrighty, so we are here on July 1st, and as you can see, we are at the international amateur signing period that just started here on July 1st. Also, the player development has come in. Blake Walston has gotten a bit of improving here. Also, down in AAA, one of our first basemen, AJ Vukovic, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, from Wisconsin, expects to be playing in the major leagues. Pretty, decent power, and I would say good gap power, good home run power. But he's never going to be a consistent bat. And as you can see right now, his BABIP is very, very high in AAA right now. A 400 BABIP here. It looks like he's always been about above 300, but I mean 400 is quite the jump, and it's definitely why he's been producing even more than he usually is. He's usually around a league average hitter. But he's been really good this season. But I mean, also we don't really have a space for him at first base because it's not like we have Buddy Kennedy, who has been doing well in the major leagues yet again this season. He's actually raised his walk rate and dropped his strikeout rate, so that's very good to see from him. He's also even doing this with a lower BABIP, so still solid season for Buddy Kennedy. Well, we could call him up and be the DH because Jeremiah Jackson really hasn't figured things out as of late. Or I think he's starting to. Yeah, no, he's been pretty meh here in the big leagues. But I mean, he's also such a highly touted guy here for us. At least what my scout thinks that he. I mean, my scout thinks he could potentially be an 80 grade player. OSA thinks he's a 70 grade. So I mean, definitely worth giving him more than like 200 ABs before giving up on him at the DH spot or really any spot. So it's not like I can really call up Vukovic and have him be anything other than the backup first baseman, which is where Alec Baum is, and he's pissed off because he's not starting anyways. But it's not like Vukovic would be getting a ton of ABs as a backup first baseman. So we are going to go ahead and slap an offer on Nelson Pineda here. My scout thinks he could be a extremely good hitter. OSA thinks he's a little bit worse, but still very solid. And, probably not a center fielder, definitely more of a corner outfielder, even with the 765 range. But, probably not a center fielder if I had to guess. OSA thinks he's a little bit worse. So I'd probably guess he's a corner outfielder. But even then, I mean, if these hitting ratings develop and he's got 70 arm, 65 range in the corner, it's still very good. High loyalty, low greed. Like to see that. So we're going to slap an offer on him. Never mind, our international complex is full, so we are going to slap an offer on him. We just do need to take somebody out of there or promote somebody. All right, so we're back here, and we are going to indeed slap an offer on him here. We're just going to offer him what he's asking, and if somebody tops our offer, we're going to see how much we can offer him. All right, Minnesota has offered him something better here, so we're going to go ahead and offer him $3 million. We're just going to pump that up to 3.5. Boom! We end up getting Nelson Pineda for $3.5 million. So, I mean, if that bat develops, that's going to be a one hell of a bat here. Let's slap him on our prospect list. And we do have a max of 1.5 we can spend without exceeding the cap here, but there's not really anybody who I'm interested in here below 1.5. I mean, here's the cutoff. And, I mean, none of these guys really stand out. I mean, like, maybe Espinoza as, like, a cheap guy. But I mean, even then, not really somebody I'm really that interested in. Australian, I'd like the idea of having Australian guy here, but neither. I mean, this guy's maybe something. Corner infield guy, decent bat. I lied. We're going to offer this guy Alejandro Campinar, a 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old out of Venezuela, who is definitely a corner infielder and not really a good third baseman, probably a first baseman. But, my scout thinks that he could be a decent bat someday, so we're going to go ahead and offer him like a just cheap $800,000 deal. Alrighty, so we are here at the last game before the All-Star break, and the All-Star rosters have been announced here. I made sure to scroll through here and look, and we did not have any pitchers make the team this year because our pitching has been so bad, apparently, but we did have the usual suspects. Ketel Marte made the All-Star game because he has been having an incredible first half, 2.3 WAR, 116 WRC+. Maybe incredible is not the word for it, but definitely a very solid first half for him. So, what we would expect from Ketel Marte. And then the other guy we had make it was Alec Thomas, who is also having a very good season, as you would expect from him. Already has more WAR than last season, probably because he is not playing the worst center field of all time. He's just playing like a very basic right field instead. So since we are here at the All-Star break, it is time to see how our team is performing this season, which, as we know, has not been great. Only 9th in runs scored, 10th in runs against the National League, so not great there. Decent batting average for the team, though. Base running's been solid. Pitching across the board, even the bullpen's been really bad for us this season. Defense has not been great. Things have not been going well for this Snake squad. If we take a look at the pitching side of things, if we actually sort this by what I want it to be, sort this by ERA+. Walston's been good since coming up, but only 18 innings. Faucher's been good in 10 innings. Syndergaard has actually been pretty good in the rotation for us, a 1.5 WAR, 144 ERA+. So definitely solid for him. He just currently has some back tightness that he's just couple days away from getting off of. But Jay Groom here, let's take a look at how he's been in the rotation. Not so hot. 6 starts in the rotation. Bad ERA plus, but good FIP minus. Very interesting to see there. Not really sure what that's about, but Jay Groom, we're not going to judge him on 6 starts in the rotation. And everybody else hasn't been too great. Stefan's been like league average, essentially, in the bullpen, trading for him. Not going to complain too much about him. But then everybody else has been really bad. Zach Gallen, definitely not what you want to see from Zach Gallen are numbers like this. Basically around league average, a little bit better FIP though. But I mean, still, you'd like to see better from a guy like Zach Gallen. Patrick Sandoval, we extended him and he's been not great. Well, actually, we're getting a lot of, maybe the defense is our issue. I'm starting to see a lot of FIP minus here that's actually below average. But then the ERA plus is below average. So, below average. So, I guess we're just defense is our issue because these pitchers are getting unlucky. A lot of these guys. But then, the other guys like Brandon Pfaadt, who's been definitely not that great in the bullpen for us. Luis Frias is finally not having a good season for us. Kevius Sampson's not been great in the rotation. That's definitely not great to see. Somebody like Luke Murphy, who was so incredibly good last year, looks like he's getting screwed in the FIP to ERA category as well. Above average FIP, below average ERA plus. So I guess maybe these guys are just getting some of these guys are getting unlucky. Guys like Murphy and Sandoval and Gallen definitely a bit unlucky, but then there's other guys who, like I said, Frias and Sampson, who have not been great. Sanchez has not been great, although I believe he's been better much, much better as a reliever since taking him out of the rotation here. So, I mean, he's a reliever. He's the stopper. That's his role for us. And then Kyle Muller has not been great either. Pretty bad, around league average with FIP once again, but I mean, really bad ERA plus. He has since moved to the bullpen. In 16 innings, he's been much, much better in the bullpen, so that is good to see from him. So now if we take a look at the bats here, what I'm really starting to realize is that we cannot just keep running Michael Gigliotti out in center field. It's really taken a toll on our defense here, although he has actually been around league average of a hitter here. Hasn't been the worst hitter, you would think, especially with his hitting ratings. But, I mean, also not really getting it done in center field either. A negative zone rating, definitely not what you want to see there. But we also don't really have a guy who can play there. So maybe at the deadline I might try to trade for a young guy or maybe like a stopgap who can just, be our center fielder. Because it's not like we're using that spot to be like a guy who's really tearing the cover off the ball. It's just Michael Gigliotti. But if we sort this by WRC+, obviously Alec Thomas has been our best hitter, as we saw 143 WRC plus here at the break. Very good for him. He's an all-star. Corbin Carroll just got off like a very short, 10-day IL stint. He's back. He's been above league average as well, as you would expect with his ratings. Ketel Marte, we know, has been good. Buddy Kennedy, we know, has been good. 17 home runs, 2 away from his total of last season. Like I said, dropped his strikeout rate, raised his walk percentage, so that is good to see from him. And then everybody else has been pretty not great. Like I said, Gigliotti's been around league average. Rojas has been around league average. Has he been better as of recently? He has. Well, July is just starting, so we can't really do too much of that. But he did have a good May, not so good in June, and then he's off to a blazing start here in July in the very limited amount of games we've played. But, he's the guy who's been very good historically for us the past 2 seasons, so maybe he'll start to turn things around in the second half, while everybody else hasn't been great. Jeremiah Jackson, we know my scout is very high on him, but he's a guy who, he has home runs, but he's not really doing much else for us. Jake McCarthy's a bench player. Jordan Lawler has just come up from AAA. Only 108 plate appearances. Has not been good, but also we knew how bad Corbin Carroll was coming up, so we're not giving up on a guy through 100 plate appearances. He'll continue getting a beast the rest of the season, obviously. Austin Hedges, I believe, got off to a decent start with the hitting. If we take a look at the splits here. Yeah, April was very good for him, and then he immediately returned to being Austin Hedges at the plate, as you would expect. But that's not why we signed him. We signed him for his defense, and he's got about 9, almost 10 framing runs already, so pretty solid there, as you would expect from Austin Hedges. He's a positive WAR. Let's go back to the lineups, please. He's a positive WAR player if we sort by WAR. Yeah, already a one WAR player here just for his defense. Obviously not the best, but also, better than other guys are doing on our team here. And not really much else, like Alec Baum's barely played as the backup first baseman, not really getting a chance, but also not really doing anything in those moments. Andrew Susak here as the backup catcher has been really bad, but I mean, he's the backup catcher. So things just have not been good here for this Snakes team. So like I said, in the second half, we're probably going to be, or at the deadline, I should say, or maybe even now or whenever I do it, I might try to comb through some minor league systems, see if I can find a guy who can just plug and play in some center field and play a really good defensive center field here. And even if we're playing somebody like, I don't know, like a Derek Hill or somebody who's never going to hit, but play a decent center field, I'm fine with having that guy as the number 9 hitter on our order. Alrighty, we do end up getting Alejandro Campaner, the Venezuelan infielder or first baseman probably that we offered that like $800,000 deal to. So those are the two amateurs we will be getting this year is Campaner and then Nelson Pineda, who was the big get, possible major bat for us. Also, Rhys Hines just won the home run contest, beat Fernando Tatis Jr. as we saw this guy hit, what was it? Didn't he hit something like 50-something home runs in the minor leagues or something? No, this is a different guy. This is, I'm just recognizing this is another name who I know is a power guy in real life. I mean, they got some serious power in Cincinnati. They got him, Rhys Hines. It was Alan Serta who I'm thinking of. So they have some real power on this Reds ball club. So about our center field defense issue here, we have Jaquan Smith here, who is a Bahamian center fielder we took in the 5th round in last year's draft. He's gotten a decent amount of ABs here in A-ball between regular A and high A in Hillsboro. So I've actually called him up to double A here. Obviously has not been a good hitter. I don't expect him to ever be a good hitter, though. My scout doesn't. OSA doesn't. He is in the system for his defense and his speed. So he is definitely a guy who we might try to, I don't know about fast track this year, but maybe next year he could be a guy who ends up being a center fielder for us. We could also possibly trade for somebody like Derek Hill, who I did mention. He's a guy who could be like a just plug-and-play guy. Absolutely never going to hit, but I mean, none of these guys are going to hit. It's all about their defense. He's got the 70 outfield range, according to my scout. Not according to OSA, though. Or there's somebody even like Billy Hamilton, who we could just simply buy from the Lancaster Barnstormers, because that is an indie ball team. We can simply purchase him and just immediately put him in the big leagues if we wanted to. 80 grade speed, obviously, it's Billy Hamilton. OSA thinks he's 70 grade, so does my scout. Once again, never going to hit, but definitely an option to be a center fielder for us, and I might do that. I might pull the trigger on Billy Hamilton. And I do have my eyes on a couple Mexican League players. First one is Ignacio Caldera, 75 range, 80 arm, 75 speed, stealing, base running. I mean, this guy is a speed defense wizard. Going to be 21 years old soon. I'm not sure if he is available to be a free agent in this upcoming season, but currently in the Mexican League, maybe we'll be able to get him in the offseason. And then there's also this guy, Ignacio Cornejo, who is a little bit better than him, a little bit longer in his development. He's almost 24. He apparently won the Gold Glove, the Glove Wizard Award in the Mexican League last season. And he is a guy at 70 range, 80 grade error. I mean, extremely scrappy, old school 80 grade bunt for hit player. He is somebody I'm very interested in. Obviously can't acquire him right now, but I mean, he could be a guy we bring into the system next year. Once again, I'm not really sure how the contracts worked in the Mexican League, but I mean, we can't get him right now, but maybe we can get him in the offseason. So I'm thinking we are indeed just going to go ahead and purchase Billy Hamilton from Lancaster right now. Never mind. All right, I can't say I'm very experienced in buying players from Indie League teams, but I mean, we have plenty of money in our budget. I've released a couple guys literally just because I just combed through the minor leagues here. I just released a couple guys in our minor league system. So I'm not really sure what the deal is here. Alrighty, so we've gone through here, simmed a couple days, and bad news. Buddy Kennedy has been diagnosed with a fractured thumb, but this does give us a chance to test my theory that maybe it was the Major League roster. So we have ourselves an opening on our Major League roster here. Is that what it's talking about? It's not. So I guess, I don't know. We definitely have enough cash, so I'm not really sure what the issue is here. Maybe it uses the cash from the international amateurs for that, where we only have, but I mean, even then, we still have, we're only buying it for like 200,000. So I mean, we still have, I don't know. I don't know what the issue is here with Billy Hamilton. So this gives us a couple opportunities though, with Kennedy going to be out for like 4 weeks. We could call up somebody like Alec Burleson, who is currently on the 40 man, was not good in his time in the big leagues, and he's also not been good in Reno this year either. Or we can call up somebody like De Los Santos and get his power up in the big leagues. Maybe he goes on a tear here. But I mean, he's, unhappy with his role on team. But I mean, he's not really doing well in AAA either. So maybe not him yet. Instead, I think we are going to go with Vukovic, who has been very good, as we know, in AAA. So we're going to give him a shot here in Arizona. Alrighty, another not great news here. Luke Murphy diagnosed with elbow strain. He'll be out for 8 weeks. So not ideal there. We do have our man Blake Workman down in AAA right now, and he has been good in AAA, so he is going to be the one who comes back up to the big leagues here to take his spot. All right, sim one more day, and we get even more bad news. Brandon Pfaadt, elbow inflammation. He'll be out for 6 weeks. Our guy Darian Nunez here has been in AAA on a rehab assignment. They've been starting him in AAA, and he has been very bad in a starting role, but we are going to call him up nonetheless here to be back in our big league bullpen. So unfortunately, our man Christopher Sanchez here also just went down with elbow inflammation, so he's going to go on the IL for a bit. And rather, also Jake McCarthy had like a 2-week minor injury, so we just shut him down and called up Jorge Barrosa, who is now in the big leagues here as a backup infielder, or backup outfielder. He was up in the big leagues a little bit earlier this season when I believe it was Corbin Carroll went down, and he was coming up and playing left field for us, but then McCarthy got hurt, so now Barrosa is back and playing as the 4th outfielder. But before we call somebody up here to take Sanchez's spot in the bullpen, we are going to be making some trades because it is July 25th here. We are approaching the deadline, and obviously our Arizona Diamondbacks are not good. 42-64 on the season. If we take a look at, what am I trying to pull up here? My standings. Not great. Negative 41 run differential in a division where we have these two absolute monsters in it, and the Dodgers and the Padres. Just not very good for us. Like I said, this is one of the reasons why I picked this division, was because the Dodgers are always just an absolute monster, and in this universe, so are the Padres. So, for trade options, we have Noah Syndergaard, who is obviously having a pretty solid season for us on an expiring deal. He is making a decent amount of change, though, so probably only like a high-market team can afford to take him on. Zach Gallen, possibly somebody we trade here, has 1 more year left on his deal. Alec Baum, just to kind of get him off the roster. I mean, he is a guy who just really hasn't gotten a shot here for us, and we just have so many first basemen now that we don't need somebody like him. So he could be a guy we try to unload here at the deadline. Maybe somebody like Christian Javier, just to get something for him. Overall, though, not too many like obvious trade options here on the big league roster. It's basically just Syndergaard, Gallen, and like I said, some like guys who were in AAA who we could possibly try to like package together for something. I probably should have tried to trade Rojas at some point aside from now. But I mean, he is still, I would imagine he still has some value. He is 30 years old. He has 2 more years left with team control at a decent amount of change there. So maybe he's somebody we try to unload too. But we're going to be making a couple of trades here, that's for sure. I believe that we have solved our center field issues. Noah Syndergaard, I'm going to ship him off to the New York Yankees, who of course are a team who would always be interested in acquiring a player like Noah Syndergaard, making him cut off his hair, and acquiring a veteran starting pitcher here just as a rental. They will give us Christian Pache, who they claimed off waivers from Oakland at some point last season, which I guess I just wasn't really looking at the waiver wire around that time. And obviously, 75 range, very good defensive center fielder. That's all we're looking for him. If he ever, runs into a few home runs, that's fine. But we are just purely expecting him to be a center fielder for us, and not expecting to get a ton of money in arbitration next year either. So Christian Pache is going to come over and be our center fielder. Well, we just attached this 24-year-old middle infielder guy, high leader, good speed, possible like league average hitter type, who's been very good in Double A this season for them. We attached him to the deal, as well as a closer who could be pretty decent, more of a just reliever in general. OSA thinks is a little bit better than my scout does, and we are going to be getting a new scout in the offseason because mine has his contract expiring. So maybe my scout that we hired agrees more with OSA and thinks this guy's even better than he is right now. But for whatever reason, they have him in rookie ball. We're not going to have him in rookie ball, but he is a guy that we are going to be adding on at the end of the deal here. So Noah Syndergaard going to the New York Yankees. It is done. Here's another trade that we're going to be going and getting. I was shopping around Alec Baum along with one of our other prospects to see if I could sweeten the pot because Alec Baum was not getting anything. I was adding Michael Ferre to the deal here to see just what we could get because with his personality, you never really know what's going to happen. Plus, he's 20, hasn't really shown anything in the minor leagues. He's shown it's actually pretty bad. So it's not like, right now my scat thinks he's pretty good, so is OSA, or he's going to be pretty good. And he's got some value because he's a top 100 pitcher, so I figured I don't think this guy is going to be any good, so maybe we can try to trade him while his value is what it is and get something who can help us right now. And while I was shopping that, I found this catcher from the Phillies, switch hitter, 25 years old, very solid contact, eye discipline, avoid K, high work ethic, good catcher ability. Seems like he could be a really, really solid catcher. Barely any major league service time. They really haven't been starting him in the big leagues. Obviously hasn't gotten the best numbers here. Was pretty good in Double A though. But I mean, we're going to be playing him every day in front of Austin Hedges probably. So all we have to do is give up Peniel Otano here, who is a guy we got in. Apparently, he pitched a no-hitter in rookie ball in 2022, but he was a real life signing by them. He's torn his labrum. He's been, he's fine. He's in Double A right now. He's, maybe he turns out to be like a fifth starter at the best. So I feel like, maybe getting a solid catcher who could be our catcher for many years to come here, along with these two absolutely nasty relievers that looks like they don't want. They have this guy in rookie ball for whatever reason. We would not obviously not have him there. And then also Steven Cruz, who is a little bit weird because he's got these insane ratings, very poor control though, obviously. Once again, whatever reason they have him in rookie ball. And OSA thinks that he just straight up doesn't throw a cutter, while my scout does. But I mean, OSA still thinks he's very nasty. So I mean, we're going to get these two nasty relievers plus the catcher for just some guy who could maybe be a fifth starter. I'll do that any day of the week, and we are doing that right here. I think this is the trade we're going to do here. We're the Nationals. They offered Cade Cavalli and Yonadone, and I did shop player for one thing. And I managed to finagle a deal here that they would give us both Cavalli and Yonadone, and also Jake Eater, who they picked up on a minor league deal, who could be either a decent starter or a nasty reliever for us as a lefty, high leader guy as well. Whatever reason they have him in high A, he would not be in high A for us. But he's not the main piece of the deal. The main piece of the deal is Cade Cavalli and Yonadone, almost 26 years old for Cade Cavalli. Has not been good for them in the major leagues, in the bullpen or in the rotation for them, although he's been good. I'd say this year he's been good enough, and also the sub-4 FIP in 2022, to where, maybe he gets on a good team that has a good defense behind him. He ends up being a solid pitcher. My scout's very high on him. So is OSA. While Adone is also a guy who could be almost 26 as well. He's actually started for them in 3 seasons, and he's been like around league average. A little bit higher FIP than ERA, but I mean he's definitely a guy who could come in and help us out here. OSA is basically the same on him as my scout is. Two very highly touted former prospects who could come in and just be immediate arms for us at the major league level. And then Jake Eater, like I said, possible like maybe like back end of the rotation or just really good lefty reliever. And all really Bohm and Uceda are just kind of get them off and sweeten the pot here. Uceda was the one that I had to add to really get it to go through. I mean, he's a guy who obviously has been good for us in the past 2 seasons as a bullpen arm, but is really bad this season. While Alec Bohm is a guy who just really hasn't ever gotten a shot. We have so many first basemen. And then Ferre is the real thing that they want. But like I said, with his personality, with how he's been in the minor leagues, I don't see anything that he's ever going to be a big league pitcher that's any good whatsoever. Obviously, my scat thinks he's very good. But I feel like we'd be better off just getting 2 guys who could help us right now while we can with his value. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Even if my assistant GM doesn't like it, we're going to do this trade. Cavalli, Adone, and Eater are going to come to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Before I talk myself out of doing this, we are just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. Alrighty, so we are not going to be making any more trades here. This is all we're doing here at the deadline in 2024. But I feel like we've made a couple solid ones here. So right now, our pitching staff, 1 to 5 in the rotation: Sandoval, Gallen, Cavalli, Groom, and Yonadone. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name. But in the bullpen, it's Blake Walston is now the stopper because he's been very good. The setup guys are Fauché, Stefan, and Nunez. And then we just have 3 middle relief guys in Workman, Sampson, and Muller because Sampson moves out of the rotation to make room for Adone because Cavalli took Syndergaard's spot. While on the bat side of things, if we take a look at the right hand, it's literally the same against righties and lefties, so it doesn't even matter. But Marchand is now the catcher. Hedges becomes the backup. Vucevic is still playing first base, while Stefanich is playing every 4th game against righties and against lefties because he's back up in the big leagues here because he was very good in his time and he's been good in AAA too. So he's being rewarded with a call-up. And Rojas third, Lawler short, Carroll left, Pache is now in center field for us as we are planning him to be. And Alec Thomas in right, and Jeremiah Jackson is still the DH, despite him not being very good as of late. But I mean, we are just going to give him more ABs because with what my scout thinks of him and with what OSA thinks of him, I mean, it's hopefully only a matter of time until he starts actually hitting for us here in the big leagues. And of course, this happens literally like a week, not even, just a few days after we trade for him. Cade Cavalli, torn flexor tendon in his elbow, pitches 1 game with us, and that happens. Literally 1 game. Goes 2 1/3, and just tears a flexor tendon in his elbow. I mean, Jesus. We're going to be calling up Joe Elvis here. He is an Oregon State arm that's been in our system since the start. Apparently, he was signed as an international free agent in 2019. I don't think that's... Maybe it is. Maybe it is correct. But we are going to be bringing him up to the big leagues here. Missed 2022 with a torn UCL and has since been pretty solid in the minor leagues here. This year in AA, he was very good. We called him up to AAA. He's gotten 2 starts there. He's been solid. We're not going to waste any more bullets for this guy in the minor leagues. We're just going to call him up here to the big leagues. So Joe Elvis wearing number 0 as a pitcher. I like that. So here's what the pitching staff looks like right now. Blake Walston is going to transition into being a starter because he's been so good in the bullpen for us. And obviously, ideally, he does end up as a starter for us. So we're going to have him in the rotation. And Joe Elvis becomes a long man here for us in the major leagues with a secondary role of middle relief. Oh, and also I forgot to make a new stopper. Calvin Fauché is going to be the new stopper. He's been very good in the bullpen for us. He was the guy we picked up in the Isaac Paredes deal. He's, my scout thinks he's got a really good cutter. He's been pretty solid for us. Was not great in 2023 for us, but has been good for us in 15 innings in the big league. So he's going to become the stopper, 12K per 9, 4 walk per 9. See if we can translate to some success as the stopper for us while Workman, Stefan, and Nunez become the three setup guys. Alrighty, Corbin Carroll out for 3 weeks with a fractured thumb. I believe that's what he was out with earlier? No, what am I going to? Injury history. Oh, it was back spasms earlier this season. So yeah, it wasn't fractured thumb. But no, what it was fractured finger was what Alec Thomas had to start like a season or two ago. But Corbin Carroll out for 3 weeks here. Very unfortunate, but he's going to go on the IL. So we are just going to be slotting Barossa here into the left field position while McCarthy takes over as the sole fourth outfielder because he's back from his injury. And rather than calling up another position player, because I feel like this is fine to have as our backups here, and we have Chris Sanchez and Buddy Kennedy both on rehab assignments. Buddy Kennedy is currently in Reno. He's got 16 plate appearances, tearing the cover off the ball down there. I believe that we are just going to be sending down Vucevic here, who has not been great in the big leagues in his 91 plate appearances. So he is going to go down to AAA Reno. Buddy Kennedy is going to come back up to the big leagues here. And then Christopher Sanchez, who has gotten 7 innings in Reno in 1 start. Maybe I don't want to call him up quite yet because he was out for a decent amount of time, wasn't he? 1 week? So he was only out for 1 week. He got 1 start. Yeah, he's fine. We're going to bring him back. Christopher Sanchez back in the big leagues. So now our staff looks like this. We've got Sanchez back in that stopper role while the setups are Fauché, Stefan, and Nunez, and then Workman becomes the used more often middle relief man, while Sampson and Muller become the other middle relief, and Elvis Beast is still the long man. And then in the hitting side of things, it's just going to become Buddy Kennedy is now the first baseman again. Stefanich is now going to play like every 6th game, maybe every 7th game. So the Snakes have gone ahead and claimed Josh Fleming from the Tampa Bay Rays. He's a guy I've had on my radar for a bit now because he is a super high control, slightly below average guy with the rest of the things, extreme ground ball, and I tend to like guys like this, high leader, high work ethic, high intelligence, just an all-around solid teammate to have as well, and like I said, extreme ground baller, and I tend to like guys like that. He's had some success in their bullpen in 2023, not so much in 2022, but he's been good in AAA and hasn't really gotten a chance in the big leagues this season. We are going to change that, though, but we do need to make room on our 40-man roster here, and the odd man out is going to be JB Bukauskas, who, my scout thinks can be decent. He has been decent for us in 2022, but aside from that, has not been great. So he is going to be the odd man out here. Bukauskas gets waived and DFA'd. While Ryan Nelson is currently the long man here in the big leagues because Elvis got hurt for a bit. So Nelson's going to be the one who goes down to AAA, and Josh Fleming will be the one taking his spot on the big league roster. Alrighty, so the 2024 campaign has come to an end, and obviously things did not go as we expected here in 2024. Alrighty, so if we take a look at how our pitchers did here in 2024, sorted by innings here, so most to least, Zach Gallen. I mean, once again, we had a few starters who had a FIP that was below average, and then a couple guys basically around league average, and Sampson. And, Sampson's a reliever, he was a starter. But Yonadone, just a little bit, basically league average in both of these, but I mean, definitely worse in ERA plus than he was in FIP. But I mean, some of these guys had bad FIPs like Sandoval, but they had decent FIP. They had bad ERA pluses and good FIP minuses, I should say. I cannot talk. Well, Jay Groom, let's take a look at how he did in the rotation, because he did start out as a reliever, was very good, was not as good in the rotation in 20 starts, but I mean, also wasn't the worst. And as you can see, we did end the season with Brandon Pfaadt getting starts. He got 3 starts here towards the end of the season. 5 starts. He got 5 total starts. Was actually better as a starter than he was as a reliever. But I'm not really sure what plans are for him anymore. But, ended the season there. Well, if we just sort by ERA plus, basically the relievers are really the only guys that really jumped off the page here. Workman was good in 15 innings, very good in 15 innings. Calvin Fauché was very solid in 38 innings. Joe Elvis was actually pretty good coming up from, he had a good ERA plus, but a bad FIP minus, which is very strange. Definitely gave up too many home runs, that's for sure. But still, just turned 22 years old, so first 25 and a third innings, I'd say that's a pretty solid first 25 and a third innings here in the major leagues for a basically 21-year-old. Stefan ended up being pretty good in the bullpen for us. Struck out 82 guys, had a 11.8 K per nine. Didn't walk too many. Did give up a little bit too many home runs, though. Don't like to see that. Fleming, coming over from the Rays on the waiver wire, ended up actually putting up really good numbers, actually. 157 ERA plus and 16 and a third innings pitched. So very solid for him coming over and pitching those innings in the bullpen for us after we picked him up on the waiver wire. And I'm interested to see how Samson did in the, yes, just I mean, look at this. So much better in the bullpen than he was as a starter. So Samson definitely going to be a bullpen guy for us next season. Well, Yonadone here, I still haven't looked up how you say his name, but it's probably something like that. But I mean, this really weird trend where we have guys who are pitching below average with ERA plus and above average with FIP minus, basically just flipped it with what he was doing with the Nationals in 11 starts with us. But hopefully next season, when we have a full year of better defensive players, especially like a full year of Pache in center field, hopefully these guys benefit from that. And then this year, we also have had guys like Kyle Muller, who obviously was pretty good for us last year in the rotation. When we picked him up off the waiver wire, was pretty solid. Once again, he was a weird FIP guy, was worse than his ERA plus, but he was, he wasn't too bad. So we put him in the rotation to start, was pretty bad. Moved him to the bullpen, and he was, I guess, okay in the bullpen. High FIP, low ERA. Definitely gave up. I'd say never mind. That's basically about what he does. What am I looking at here? I'm looking at his numbers from this season. I think I'm looking at his career home run per nine. But yeah, I guess he just gives up a lot of home runs. Definitely gave up a lot of home runs last year as well. Dropped it this year, but walked more guys. Luke Murphy was the big not great for us this year. Once again, though, good FIP minus, bad ERA plus. Definitely started off worse than he was. Last year we know that he was just lights out last year, absolutely shut down. And then this year was just a little bit worse. Not a little bit worse, but definitely worse. But if we take a look at how he did in September, was not really good with the FIP, bad with the ERA. What is going on with these guys? So, I mean, like, he had a good FIP minus. At worst, a league average FIP minus all season long. But it's just the ERA. Just what is going on with the ERA with these guys? It's got to be the defense here that's coming into play. And then also Christopher Sanchez, his overall numbers do not look that great. 86 innings, had a league average FIP minus, bad ERA plus. But I believe that he was much better. Once again, not a great ERA plus, but a good FIP minus in the bullpen. So we just need to improve the defense is what I'm really getting on here with these ERA pluses that I'm seeing. Well, if we take a look at the bat side of things, sorted by WRC plus, the best bat on the team, also highest WAR, Alec Thomas. That's very solid for him. Led the league in hits and doubles, 209 hits, 46 doubles for our right fielder. Absolutely fantastic for the man we have signed through 2031. 393 BABIP, incredible for him. Didn't walk too much, but also doesn't strike out like a ton at all. 13 home runs. Probably never going to be a huge home run hitter, but 46 doubles, lead the league in doubles. I will definitely take that. Stolen base percentage is definitely a bit concerning. I would want to see him, if he's going to steal 9 bags, steal it at more like 75% than a 52%. But you can't complain too much when he puts up basically a 6 WAR and leads the league in hits and doubles. While Corbin Carroll, left field for us, once again, also a guy who's been very good. 3.8 WAR, 135 WRC plus. Definitely the best season he's had. He's only had that was his first full season, I should say. 500 ABs, 140 hits, 30 doubles, 9 home runs, 17 swiped bags. He's definitely going to swipe more than most guys on our team with the straight 70 across the board in speed, stealing, and base running. Very solid for him, almost a 400 OBP even. Uh, Michael Stefanich in 141 ABs is actually pretty good as a bench player for us this season. I don't know if he'd ever be a starter for us, but definitely a guy who we'll keep around as a bench player for sure. Ketel Marte ended up around league average. He's 30. He'll be 31 next season. So, he might start dipping a bit in production, but I mean, as long as he's around league average, he's definitely still productive. His home runs dipped a bit this year as well, down to 13 from 27 last year. Hit below 300 for the first time in this series. His OBP dropped quite a bit from last season. Just, not as productive as it was last year, but still productive nonetheless. He was actually a positive ZR second baseman as well, even at 31, not being the greatest defender of all time either. Josh Rojas did end up rebounding his season. He was very bad in the first half, but he ended up putting up a similar number as he has. He's just a much lower home run number, but still very consistent when it comes to his WRC plus and hits and doubles. Always hits 30 plus doubles, always has 130. Oh my God, he could have had 137 hits again. That's. Why'd you have to get one more, Rojas? But, yeah, let's take a look at his splits. Yeah, I mean, he just tore it up. In July, he started putting things together. He was good in May, too, but really bad in April and June. Started putting things together in July. Absolutely tore it up in August and was pretty good in September as well. So definitely good to see there. Buddy Kennedy ended up not doing too hot. 22 home runs, which is second most on the team. But overall, just basically league average first baseman. Nothing too special about there. He'll definitely be back next season, but I mean, maybe we try to run some De Los Santos at first base, see what he can do for us. We definitely have some options at the first base position, that is for sure. Perdomo, bench infielder, he was fine. Jordan Lawler was not the best, but also Corbin Carroll was not the best when he first came up to the big leagues either. But still positive WAR player, slightly below league average hitter, 14 home runs, 16 doubles. Definitely don't like to see the 25% swiped bags. That's not good at all. But basically just seemed like he ran into a lot of extra base hits and didn't really get on base too much. So we'd like to ideally see him get on base more than he did this season. And then Jeremiah Jackson actually led the team in home runs with 25 on the season. Yeah, 25 home runs, 21 doubles, but once again, a guy who just kind of hit for power but didn't really do anything else. Definitely did not get on base at a good clip at all. 6% walk rate is not great to see. And because he was the DH, he has an exactly 0 WAR. He did not add or subtract any wins from our record. He was just a very boring player this year. Well, if we take a look at Christian Pache, he was worse offensively with us than he was with the Yankees, but it's not like he was good with the Yankees. He was just extra bad with us. But once again, I did say that we got him for his defense, and he is a very, very good defender. 6.9 ZR with them, 4.8 with us, which is still very solid. Apparently, he got 3 double plays as a center fielder with the Yankees. That's pretty insane. And then Rafael Marchan, however you say this guy's name, our catcher that we picked up from the Phillies, did not end up having a great season with us. 100, but I mean, like 200 ABs, 270 something ABs. Philly, barely played, wasn't good. Us barely played, wasn't good. But hopefully he's much better next year with the full season under him, and he's able to put up around league average hitting. I don't expect much hitting from a catcher, but I mean, he's good enough defensively to where he would be a guy who puts up good enough defensive numbers and also hopefully hits a little bit, definitely more than what he's shown so far, but once again, very small sample size, can't really judge too much on that. So if we take a look at the batting leaders here, as we can see, the third and fourth highest average in all of baseball, actually, Alek Thomas and Corbin Carroll. It looks like Thomas is actually tied with McNeil and Soto at a 330. Jeff McNeil of the Rays. Honestly, he's a very Rays player. I could definitely see him on the Rays. What? Joey Gallo went to the Dodgers and hit 70 home runs. Just let that sink in. Joey Gallo hit 70 home runs. I mean, Jesus. No wonder why they were a wagon this year. They had a guy who hit 70 home runs. Drove in 147 runs. Normal stat line is normal. Almost a 500 OBP for Juan Soto. Another very normal stat line. Most hits, as we know. The only guy with 200 in Major League Baseball is Alek Thomas. Also was 6th in most runs scored. And he had 2nd in doubles, but it was tied for the most in the National League with Luis Garcia of the Nationals. Gunnar Henderson leads all of baseball in doubles. Juan Soto had a 191 OPS plus. Joey Gallo had a 189 OPS plus. Pretty insane. Well, if we take a look at the pitching side of things, the highest ERA belongs to Dustin May. Number 2 is Logan Allen, the man who stinks it up with our Reds. And Noah Syndergaard ends up with the 4th lowest ERA in baseball this season. Looked like he was, what am I looking at here? Okay, yeah, he was actually better with us than he was with the Yankees, but I should say he's basically the same with us as he was with the Yankees. So yeah, very solid year for him. Just couldn't turn that into a playoff season for us. Also, just noticing here, Josh Hader in the top 6 in WAR as a closer for the Mets. Yeah, pretty insane season. 71 innings, a 4.7 WAR as a closer. So, yeah, 15K per 9, just insane numbers for Josh Hader. Jesus, taking a look at the fielding ratings here. Pete Crow Armstrong had a 21 zone rating. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I mean, who even cares what he does at the plate when you've got ratings like that? A 21! 21! 9 outfield assists. I mean, insane. And he played a ton of games. I mean, what can you say? And then our man Nick Ahmed here, still on the list, top 5 with the Braves this season. They did sign him to a pretty long-term deal. And yeah, I mean, the Braves, they basically have another Andrelton Simmons playing shortstop for them. I know they no longer have Dansby Swanson, so now they have Nick Ahmed till he's like 37. But even after losing the starting catching gig at the trade deadline, Austin Hedges does end up with the most framing runs in baseball this season with 14. We'll probably bring him back as our backup catcher next season. Probably split some time with Marchand or Marcon, whatever his name is. He's worth bringing back because we have him on that cheap deal with the option for 1.5, and he's, high leader guy to have on the team. Definitely a solid backup catcher, even if he doesn't play for us too much, but I still plan on, probably splitting time between those two guys. Also was among the highest caught stealing percentages, 4th with a 36%, so definitely gunning down attempting base runners as well. Well, if we take a look at our team's numbers, just all around not great. It turns out the hitting wasn't the worst, 4th and 5th in the average into OBP, but also not great in slugging, not great in OPS, only 7th in WAR. 3rd in hits, though, that's good to see. But only 9th in runs scored, so that's not good to see. And also, still among the cellar in home runs. One of the best base running teams, though, that's good to see. Definitely, with all our speedsters we have. Zone rating ended up picking up a little bit. We ended up being 5th in the National League, same with defensive efficiency. But overall, the pitching was not great this year. 9th in runs allowed, gave up way too many runs. Just pitching was not good. We need to improve upon pitching, probably get some better defense next year, too. Just hopefully we can figure things out here, because I'm tired of missing the playoffs here, and now we're in a division with a team that has a guy who hits 70 home runs every season. But if we take a look at how our team fared, we actually did do better post-trade deadline. Did not have a single winning month pre-trade deadline, and then in July, or I guess July was heading into the trade deadline, rather, we went 15-12, and then went 15-13 in August, and then 8-15 to close things out. Also, just realizing that both Thomas and Carroll both hit exactly a 393 OBP, and that is our 1 and 2 hitters. So, I mean, these guys are doing their job. They're getting on base, and they're setting spots up to the guys behind them to drive them in, especially with their speed on the bases. But the guys behind them just aren't doing a good enough job, I guess. I didn't feel like Luis Frias ended up having a pretty good season for us, but it turns out he actually led the team in 19 shutdowns. Unfortunately, he is recovering from rotator cuff inflammation, though, so Frias, like I said, I thought he didn't really have that great of a season, but he did lead the team in shutdowns. Seems like, I guess he turned things around. He had a much better ERA plus in July and August, and then only 5 innings in September before getting hurt. Never mind, I forgot that I sent him down to AAA, so he was actually pretty 8 innings. He had a really good ERA plus in July, but before that, he had a good May, really bad June, really bad April. Definitely not what he was doing previously for us, though, in 2022 and 2023. And if we take a look at the standings around the league, the Rays ended up winning the AL East with only 85 games. I feel like the AL East in both this and in OOTP falls off pretty quickly. That division obviously entered in real life being like, oh my god, they might have 4 playoff teams in that division. And I feel like by like season 2 or 3 in this and MLB The Show, it just falls off and it becomes like an 85 game winner wins the division every year. Well, the Royals, 94 wins with them. They continue to be a good team in this universe. 13-6 in extra innings. That's pretty wild. Well, the White Sox and Guardians also make the playoffs with positive run differentials. The Tigers are really bad. The Angels win the AL West, the only team in that division. The NL East is the Mets and the Braves. And the Central is the Cardinals and Cubs with 95 and 94 wins respectively. And then, of course, we know about the West with the Dodgers with a plus 293 run differential, winning 113 games on the season. Us down in last here, negative 32 run differential, 69 wins, nice, and 93 losses. So here's what the playoff bracket looks like right now. Guardians, White Sox, Blue Jays, Rays in the wild card, Padres, Cubs, Braves, Mets in the wild card, Dodgers, Cardinals, and Angels, Royals await in their spots. So we will see how this looks in a bit. Alrighty, the 2024 regular season and playoffs have come to an end, and we did not have a good season. Obviously, 277 season score. And the playoffs have come to an end, so if we take a look at the playoff tree, the Kansas City Royals are your 2024 World Series champions. They sweep the fellow Missouri team in the St. Louis Cardinals. On their journey there was they easily beat the Angels, easily beat the Guardians. The Guardians took out the White Sox. While in the National League, you have the Cardinals, who took their rival Cubs in the LCS. They took the Mets' length in LDS, and the Mets came from the wild card against the Braves. This Royals team, once again, really, really good at pitching. The best defensive team in the National League, or in the American League as well. I mean, they just score enough to do well, but their pitching is really, really good. We take a look. Kyle Scott is their number one pitcher. He was the second-round pick in 2023. Had a really, really good season. Took him out of Cal Poly. I believe it's a high school. Cal Poly. No, just Cal Poly, I guess. Okay. I guess that's the abbreviation for Cal Poly. I didn't realize there was an SLO at the end of it. But yeah, he was their main guy. Chris Bubick had a pretty good season. Only 12 starts, though I guess he got hurt at some point. Trevor Rogers is in their rotation. Brady Singer looks like he had a good year. He did indeed. If we sort by WAR up here, yeah, Kyle Scott, Brady Singer, Rogers. Their closer, Casey Kalich from Texas A&M. Insane year for him at the back end of their bullpen. 80 grade fastball and slider. That is insane. Bubick was on fire, like I said. Graham Ashcraft's on their staff. Brandon Marklin, Josh Staument were on fire to end the season. I mean, just really good pitching from them. While on the hitting side of things, highest WAR is Austin Meadows. Nicky Lopez, who's a very good defender. That definitely is. They play really good defense. So that's they pitch and play good defense. That is generally a successful strategy. Adam Frazier is their second baseman, it appears. He had a around league average season. Michael Taylor is a very, very, very good defensive center fielder. Obviously not good at the plate, but I mean, that's not what he's there for. But I mean, Austin Meadows, my goodness, 149 WRC plus, 4.8 WAR. I mean, incredible season for me. After two very mediocre seasons with the Tigers, goes to the Kansas City Royals in a trade and just absolutely explodes with them this year. 37 bombs. Like I said, that will wrap things up here for the season here in 2024. When we return, we will be going over the off season, diving into that.